In the village of Okpuluha, there lived 3 children who knew sorrow far too early. Their parents, humble farmers loved by many, died suddenly in a strange accident. One evening they had gone to the market, full of life, laughter still on their lips, but by nightfall they were gone. Their death left the village whispering, and though no one spoke openly, some said the hand of man had joined with the hand of fate. The children, Amarachi, Ifinanya, and little Samto, were left with nothing but each other. Their heart was crumbling, their bellies empty, and their hearts heavy. Yet they believed in one thing, family. For their father had an elder brother, Uncle Odelai, a man of great wealth whose lorries rumbled across the country, whose houses in the city shone like palaces, whose children schooled abroad. In their innocence, they thought, surely, he will not abandon us. One morning they walked barefoot to his great compound. They stood before the iron gate, weak with hunger, their clothes torn. Amarachi, the eldest, gathered courage and spoke as the guards looked on. Please tell Uncle Odelai his brother's children are here. When he appeared, his agboda swayed like a king's garment, gold rings glittering on his fingers. Amarachi fell to her knees. Uncle, we are hungry. We have no one else. Your brother is gone, but we are his blood. Please, help us. Odelai's face was hard, his eyes cold. He looked them over as though they were strangers. Did I ask your father to die? He asked sharply. My wealth is for my children. If you cannot fend for yourselves, then starve. Don't come to me again. The guards drove them away like beggars. The children's tears fell onto the dust of the road as they walked back to their empty hut. That night, Amarachi lay awake, whispering into the darkness, the one I know, watch me drown. Days bled into weeks. Hunger carved their faces, but pride kept them from stealing. Villagers offered a little food here and there, but most were too poor to help. Instead they whispered, is this not Odelai's blood? How can a man be so wealthy and let his brother's children perish? But Odelai did not care. He boasted to his friends, I built myself with my own hands. Let them do the same. One day, Ifinanya went again to his gate, carrying little Samto who was faint with hunger. She pleaded, Uncle, Samto is sick. Please, if not for us, for him. Odelai turned his face away. Go home, he said. I have no food to waste. The boy coughed in her arms, and her tears fell like rain, but Odelai's door slammed shut. Month after month they suffered. Their clothes became rags, their bodies thin, but their spirit refused to break. Still, every night Amarachi prayed, God, if man has forsaken us, do not forsake us. One morning, as they struggled in the market, trying to sell palm nuts with empty stomachs, an old man approached them. He was a stranger, his beard white, his eyes kind. He watched them quietly before asking, Children, why do you look so worn, so hungry? Amarachi tried to smile but her lips trembled. We are fine, sir. But Ifinanya broke down. Our parents are gone. Our uncle has left us to die. We walk, but the hunger is greater than the strength we have. The old man's face darkened. Whose children are these? He asked the villagers. They are Odelai's brothers' orphans, one replied. And their uncle will not help? The man asked. The villager shook his head. Blood is not always thicker than water. The old man, who later introduced himself as Popan Kemjika, took them into his home. That night, for the first time in months, they ate until their bellies were full. Tears rolled down Amarachi's cheeks as she whispered, God has remembered us. But Popan Kemjika did more than feed them. He used his connections to enroll them in school. He spoke to organizations, and within a short time, scholarships began to open. Amarachi excelled in leadership and won a grant to study in the city. Ifinanya was offered a scholarship abroad in London. Samto, though the youngest, amazed his teachers until he too was sent to study overseas. Years passed, and the children who once begged at Odelai's gate rose like the sun. Amarachi became a respected leader in business circles, marrying a powerful tycoon. Ifunanya became a lawyer in London, later marrying into a wealthy political dynasty. Somto became a renowned scholar, receiving awards and invitations from nations far and near. They built mansions in the city, drove cars finer than their uncles, and their names commanded respect. The same relatives who had turned their backs now watched with envy. When they returned to Opuluha, it was not in rags but in convoys. Villagers sang and ululated. Mothers pointed to their children saying, "Be like them, the orphans who conquered sorrow." Uncle Odelai, now grey and weary, hid inside his house. His own children, though given every privilege, were wayward and lazy. He muttered to himself at night, "If only I had lifted them when they begged, their glory would have been tied to my name. Now look at them, and look at me." But Amarachi, Ifunanya, and Somto shocked the villagers. They forgave their family. They built houses for those who had mocked them, paid school fees for cousins, repaired village roads. People said, "Truly, destiny cannot be buried." But envy does not die easily. Some relatives, unable to endure their glory, crept into shrines. They brought goats, poured blood, tied charms, and begged the gods to strike them down. But each arrow they sent returned to them. One lost his first son, another's business crumbled, another went mad. One by one, the evil backfired. At last, the greatest revelation came. Uncle Odelai fell sick and knew death was near. On his bed, he summoned the children he had abandoned. His voice was weak, but his words were like thunder. "I cannot die with this secret. I killed your parents. They did not die by accident. I poisoned them. I saw in a vision that you, their children, would rise above us all. I thought if I cut them down, you would perish. But heaven has mocked me. The very destiny I tried to bury has risen brighter than the sun. Forgive me, for my heart is burning." The room was silent. Tears ran down Amarachi's face. Ifunanya shook her head in disbelief. Somto clenched his fist but said nothing. They forgave him, but the weight of his words sank deep. The villagers, when they heard, spat his name in disgust. His children carried the shame of his confession. And yet, Amarachi, Ifunanya, and Somto continued to rise. Their mansions stood in cities and abroad. Their children were born into abundance. Their names opened doors across nations. And so their story became a living testimony. That sometimes the one you know will watch you drown, but help will come from the stranger you never expected. That destiny cannot be buried by envy, betrayal, or death. That forgiveness is strength, but evil never goes unpunished. And every time their story is told, hearts tremble, because it shows that no hand of man can stop what heaven has already written.